Hi, everybody. Welcome to my page. My name is Tyler Brass. I'm a Western astrologer, numerologer, and tarot reader. So today I have an exciting video for you. It's something I've never actually done. I'm kind of a secretive numerologist. It's not something that I do on the daily, where astrology and tarot really leads the bulk of my intuitive work. It's not too often that I get to exercise my numerology understandings and approach, which is entirely unique to my background. I have taken a lot of learnings from one book in particular called The Complete Book of Numerology, David A. Phillips. Really, really good way to start your numerology path. Mine was in congruence with astrology and tarot. 7, 8 years ago, they were all coming to me at once. I have a lot of air placements, and for us mind-oriented people, we tend to need different vantage points or different perspectives, and the metaphysical studies are just, studies that all tie together in really cool ways. And so if you're watching this, you are probably not just a numerology seeker, but you're probably also an astrology seeker or a tarot seeker or a psychic or a sensitive or a healer. So know that they are all here. They're all tools that exist that can help guide you forward with a greater understanding of how to help yourself and others, and how we can just bring meaning to things that are full of meaning that society has programmed us not to look at more deeply or to take note of. So it's really cool. When you start to open up to all of this, you see that there are answers in every corner of every place in every moment that you're in, and all it takes is a willing mind. And so I'm really excited to be doing this work, especially at this time. We just went through a major eclipse cycle, which we're going to talk a little bit about during this video. But this video really is with the number 11 in the month of November in the year 2022. I am off to a late start. This is something that I just felt called to do when I was writing out all the days yesterday for the month. I'm usually ahead, but this month I was behind, and so you never know. But we are going to dial into the magic of November 2022 and understanding what this month holds for you through a numerological and certainly an astrological tie-in or understanding, okay? So to quickly introduce you to what November is through a numerological lens, we're looking at the number 11, okay? So we know November is the 11th month of 12, and so each year it brings us into contact, into greater relationship with the number 11. So people that have this as a ruling number, this is actually considered a master number. It's one of 3 in numerology, which are 11, 22, and 33. So if you have a master number as your life path, in particular, you are meant to do great things on this earth. Now, great things and success doesn't always mean that you are financially wealthy or you are the top person in your industry, but you will go through lessons and challenges and storylines where you do things that are very different from the people around you. You have a greater sense of morality, a greater sense of precision, this real knowledge when we think about mastery and the master numbers that carry that sense with them. These are people that obviously want to know a lot about things. Certainly the esoteric arts, the healing arts, is one of them. If you've taken an interest in all of this, but it's really cool to look at this, and it's not just limited to the people with this master number, as their life path, but everybody, we all get to experience the magic of the master number 11 every November of every year. And so it's a great time to not only recognize who comes up in this month and to see maybe they have a master number as their life path and can give you more direct direct, in the moment examples of what that looks like, what that feels like to get up close and personal to those people. But ultimately for yourself to realize that you can achieve this sense of mastery towards the end of every year. We're getting closer to the holidays where energies are magnified. We're bringing people together. We're celebrating wins, things we've accomplished throughout the year. And this year is no different, since we just went through an eclipse cycle of Scorpio and Taurus eclipses. And we're still in that energy. In my astrological approach, I say that we are always in either a new moon window or a full moon window. This time around just happened to be full moon eclipse. And so we are still in that Taurian energy, and we are working with specifics. We're working with the earth element, as one of the things that are kind of bringing us into this energy as well. But let's take a more numerological approach, and we'll let the astrology notions kind of kick in as they will whenever I talk about something. So November, the 11. So we're dealing with 2 ones, okay? So the one is such a powerful number in this universe, it speaks to authority, it speaks to self, it speaks to beginnings, it speaks to activating energy, it speaks to newness, to opportunity, to birth, to simplicity, to straightforwardness. And so 1 is a nice number because it's not that it's lacking definition, but it holds every possibility of definition that is possible. When we move into the later numbers after 1, we find more and more definition, more and more of a sense of personality or a sense of direction. 1 isn't directionless, but it is an opportunity to direct the self and to undertake things that you haven't done before. Again, newness, beginnings. And the 11 here, this doubling of the 1, indicates that the opportunities that you have are greater in the month of November, or if you're a life path 11, they're greater this time around because you get maybe 2 directions that you can try things in, or the things that you're starting are on an exaggerated scale. Maybe there's more people involved. And so there are other people that are trying something they haven't tried before, and you're joining in, or at least that's the energy that's amassing around you. And so this 1 is double activated. When we see things in doubles or triples, like angel numbers, things are on an exaggerated scale, or maybe even a more divine scale, if you believe in that. And we are going to talk about that because there's an exciting day this month in particular where we're really going to see some divine influences. So stick around for that. The 1 in my practice of numerology derived somewhat from the book I showed you, but then my own astrological approach has led me to a lot of different understandings of how to look at numbers on a numerological chart and how to work with the elements in a way that feels more sound for me and the people that work with me. So the numerology is laid out like a tic-tac-toe board, okay? And so you have 3 rows of numbers, and then you have 3 columns, okay? All comprised of numbers 1 through 9, and they all go in a specific place in that chart. And so you can't find a 1 in just any place. It only goes in a certain box. The 9 only goes in a certain box. And so it's very easy to write out the numbers every month, which I encourage you guys to do. I do this, and it takes maybe 15 minutes. And then I write down the anomalies that I find that are specific to that month, that year, and what that can mean and how that ties into maybe the full moons and the new moons we're having, or any other messages that are coming through. We have a major holiday in November. We have Thanksgiving. This year it's going to be on the 24th, and that is the day after the new moon in Sagittarius, which is the 23rd. November consists of 30 days, so keep that in mind when you are writing out the months. If you take up that practice, not every month has 31 days. So that's important too. Um, but November, let's see what we're talking about here. So November, we take 11 and the year 2022. So you add 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2, and you get 8. These are very easy numbers to add, right? So there's not a whole lot of writing down that you need. So we have a month of 8 this year. And so that's particular to any year that we're in. If we were in November of 2023, it would be a different number. This year, November 2022, is an 8 month. So what does the 8 mean? Okay, I'm going to start throwing out a lot of numbers at you guys. So the 8, is a number of infinity. And we see, again, things of a more divine scale, not just because of the double 1, but we also see eclipse energy, which magnifies events, relationships, circumstances. And we also see not just us starting really big, exciting new things that we've never done before, but we're also releasing, as was that eclipse cycle. We have a new moon to begin and a full moon to release, right? And so we're carrying that theme into this entire month since it's an 8 month, okay? And so you're going to see things, the infinity means that nothing is for naught. The 8 really carries this notion of extremes where you may find yourself on one side versus the other, and it's very clear that you're on a different side, but you can always get back to the other side over time with more understanding. And so those two polarities of this or that, of new or old, of beginning or releasing, are both connected, and they have everything to do with each other, even though they may not seem like it, even though they may seem like individual parties with different agendas. Those agendas cannot exist without the opponent or the other polarity that exists, okay? So what does that mean, Tyler? Okay, so if you are a person in this reality, you could only evolve as far as what you could do. If you step into a relationship with others and you work with others, then you have the capability of changing who you are at different times, stepping into a different perspective, stepping away from the self, and vice versa. And so when we see duality in this world, we see two different states of being, two different sides that we can take. And the 8 unifies those two, as does the infinity symbol, which you'll see in any metaphysical study. Certainly in tarot it shows up. But 8 is on the water plane. So it's in the middle row of numbers on this numerology chart, or tic-tac-toe. So what I can show you here. So we see the 8th here. This was the eclipse day this month. The 8th is on the middle, okay? And so the top row of numbers is the air element, okay? It's the highest. The middle is the water. It's the in-between states, the states that aren't very defined or easy to understand, again, because they themselves are kind of holding everything together. It's beliefs, it's subconscious, it's the past, it's holding your present moment together by giving you something that has happened or something that has been that you can continue to go back to and find comfort in. And then the bottom numbers is the earth element. So it's holding everything above it. So it takes a lot of weight. It's a lot of work down in that bottom row. And it's about staying strong, not easily budging or shifting. And so that particular row is a row that we don't see a lot of change happen. If you have a life path 1, 4, or 7, you're more determined to see things through or stick to the plan, do what's expected. And then, so those are the 3 elements. We have a 4th element, which is fire. So fire, how I see this in my practice, is through the arrows of individuality. The arrows that form when you have 3 spaces incongruent, and most of the arrows that are forming this year, because 2022 takes up So little of the numerology chart, because it's three of the same number, means we're having a lot of arrows that are empty. So they are not complete. You see this? We're missing three numbers in that arrow. We're missing three numbers in this arrow. We're missing three numbers in that diagonal arrow. This is a trend that happens throughout the entire year because, we're basically just working with a two. Next year we'll have a three and one less two, which is very exciting. But we're really excavating the number two on a very big scale. And so perhaps we need to talk about that for a second as well. Since this is the first video I'm posting in this series and introducing myself to you guys, the number two is very big in this decade, of course, in the 2020s. In the century of the 2000, we're going to see at least 1, 2, in any chart that's ever drawn. And so it's a very, very pivotal number to work with. It's a number that deals with healing. It's a number that deals with femininity. It's of the water elements. And it's not the infiniteness of like the 8. The 2 is a lot more simple, a lot more accessible. And so we see it more in the home. We see it more in the family, more in the inner workings of your day. And so it feels more of like a number that you are more familiar with, as opposed to one that brings extremes or maybe has a lot of fear projected onto it that we don't like to work with often. 2 is still one of the early numbers in the chart, and so it's kind of one of the foundational numbers, and it's the first of the water nature. And so it allows the individual to understand what they're feeling as our moods shift, our emotions shift throughout the day, and the different experiences and interactions we have based on the things we're finding out, or maybe the changes in weather or hormones. The 2 is very sensitive to all of that. And it just brings this sense of emotional resonance and connection, and it allows us to access our intuition quite easily. And so that's why we're seeing so many healing arts and healers come out of the closet or like step into the work this year. This is a huge healing year for everybody. And so while things aren't really developing in our work life the pace that we want them to, we're not really finding success as easily this year, is because we're in a healing chapter. And so we're working with the 2 so much. We're meant to slow down. We're meant to soften our day-to-day life and the things that we're doing. So it's not a number that's very productive. It's more about getting back to basics, since it's one of the younger numbers, like a 1, 2, or 3. And so it's about just being a part of the daily routines of your life, making your own meals, staying connected with loved ones, resting, taking time to just kind of be at peace in the stillness when you have opportunities to. And so that's what we're really doing. And what's interesting is that is an intuitive practice, is being still, allowing answers to come to you and even manifestations to reach you when we're not going out and seeking so much. So that's what the 2 is challenging us to do this year. Certainly there's astrology that supports that, but this is not a year where it's really about going out and chasing your dreams. It's about allowing opportunities to reach you, and when you're in your kind of comfort, or you're healing, or you're moving past some shadows or limiting beliefs or things from your past, then you're making room for those great things that are aligned with you to find you. So that's what we're really learning. But it does require a lot of slowness, a lot of sensitivity. So finding stillness is a really good theme, that we've all been working with. We're kind of at the tail end of the year now, but I just want to recap that because it's been so pronounced. And every month this year that I've drawn up, there's this prevalence of 2s. There's at least 3 2s in every day this year. And so that's dominating, what our focus is. for this year. There's no other number that has come close to challenging it until this month. So I want to talk to you guys about a very special day this month. And that is 11/11, November 11th. It's not just special because it consists of, 11/11 has, I think even before angel numbers, 11/11 has always been seen as like this feeling of wishfulness, of like you being able to ask for something that you want to spirit, to the universe. And 11/11 this November of 2022 consists of 4 ones. So we see 1111. And this is the only day in the entire year that challenges the 2. Because, like I said, the 2 has been dominating every day this year because we have at least 3 2s in the year 2022, any day in the year 2022. And even more so in the months of like February, and we'll see in December when we have the extra 2 every day. But in November of 2022, 11/11 is the day that challenges the number 2, in that we see 4 11s, 4 ones, and we only see 3 2s. And so this is the one day this entire year of 365 days. This is the one day where the 2 is getting outpowered, outmaneuvered, is kind of taking a back seat to another number. And so it's extremely exciting. Why? Because 1 is a lot easier to work with. Why? Because 11/11 brings with it this notion of you receiving help or support in a very significant way that you need it. And so make your wish. Definitely do it on the day, if not before. Use this opportunity to call out for help in an area that you really need it, or just something that you really would love to see. Maybe it's not something that you're in desperate needs of. But use this opportunity. Remember, the 1 is on the earth plane, and so it speaks to finances. Anytime we're working with the earth element, it speaks to the material world, and that is mostly made up of money and, the items that we have come into ownership from the use of money in exchange. And so this could really help you out financially if you need some support in that regard. I'm certainly going to use it for that reason. But that's something I'm just, very excited about, just seeing, because the 2s have just been overwhelming to a degree. I have a 2 in my own life path, a chart, but it's just so much, and it just feels like there's no amount of tenacity or knowledge that can get you to a place of real financial success, of real outward extroverted success that can be seen readily, because this year has just been about slowing down, becoming more gentle, becoming again more in tune with the inner workings of your life, your inner femininity. We all have both sides within us, no matter how you identify. We all have a sun and a moon. We all have the yin and the yang. And the 2 really speaks to the feminine component of like listening, of becoming more receptive as opposed to assertive. And so for this year, for anyone that's been really trying to achieve a lot in their work life, it's been really hard to do so. Again, there's astrology supporting that, of course. We are coming out of a major 2-year relationship with Saturn and Uranus that has been holding us back from moving forward in a lot of ways. But it has its reasons too. We've all seen challenges that have allowed us to open up to what could happen if we were to move forward with no hesitation. And so, there's some need for all of that. But we're going to also talk about other components of this month and really get into the days and the numbers, and to show you guys a little more visually what's going on. So Get comfy. I know that was a really long intro, but that is me. That's my approach to numerology, how I work with the elements. Again, slightly derived from this book, The Complete Book of Numerology. That's the only one I have in my possession that really is a source for numerological understanding, and I would recommend it absolutely. I don't know that person, but a lot of this stuff has just been intuitively. I found out over the years of my practice in metaphysics and how all these things kind of combine and manifest in congruence with each other. And so I'm excited to kind of, come out of the closet and share this with you guys because I've just been holding on to a lot of information and you know, um, it's nice to be able to share this stuff. So get comfy. We just have a little more to talk about, and we will really understand this month once we have finished this video. I can guarantee you that. Okay, so this is what a numerology chart looks like. When you're looking at just a specific day or even your birthday, you typically are going to, let's see, write out all of the components. I only wrote the month and the day, but I did include the year here, the 222 for 2022. So keep that in mind. But this is what it looks like. The numerology chart is what I always just call a tic-tac-toe board. We see 3 ones. As we start off the month of November, we start with 11/1, November 1st. And so we're already working with, a strong amount of ones or initiating, activating energy. And I like to look at the beginning day of the month and the end day of the month to kind of get this sense of how did things start, how did they end in this time period. So just to kind of give us a little more to narrow in. So the beginning of this month starts off a little rough. Why we see so many boxes missing numbers, because we're only working with 2 numbers as we start the first day of this month. And so there is so much lacking in this chart. And that's not a good thing in numerology. It's something that we're seeing all throughout this year, again, because we have so many 2s that are kind of holding one pocket of the chart, a lot of concentration, and so we don't have as much variety this year. And that can manifest in your own life with you having to do the same things over and over, or tending to the same relationships, or just feeling very, kind of bored because it's very concentrated, the things that we're working with. And so what's nice is this month we see some excitement, we see some newness come in, and maybe there's a huge focus on stability, practicality with the 1 being on the earth plane, this bottom row. And the first number means, it's kind of bringing you into new relationship with either work, with either money, with either possessions, the material world, or new ideas, concepts, anything that allows you to start in a new direction. And so that's nice because it gives us some variety. Maybe if you feel like you've really been lacking chances and opportunities and just things to do, this is a month where you will see those things come to light. And so that could speak to the holidays, of course, but just we also are starting Sagittarius season later in the month, and that is a sign that speaks to newness. It's a fire sign. It's all about arrows and learning more about yourself, of course, in more group spaces. Anyway, not going to get into all that. So we're seeing the beginning of this month, we are missing a lot, which, again, can manifest in your own life with you feeling like you don't have what you need. Maybe it's not even a literal feeling or literal lacking. Like maybe you're paying all your bills, you're tending to your relationships, you're doing all the things, but there's this subconscious sense of like you not feeling fulfilled, or you not feeling like you can change or do what you want, And so as we move throughout the month and we see how the 11 will help us unlock and activate things in new ways, we'll see those numbers kind of move around as in other days, and how we actually do see this capacity to change But we're starting out the month again with a lot missing. And so keep that in mind. We're in between eclipses when the month starts. And so it's a big time to make space for a lot. Something that eclipses are known for is to kind of releasing you from old things that no longer serve you. It could be behaviors, it could be relationships, work, all those things. And so clearing a lot of space. And then I'm going to show you how the month ends. Okay, so we end with success. So we go throughout the month. We really see and understand the power of initiation, of activation, of financial success, of starting new work projects, things that can get us to a more stable place. We're really in the beginning stages of all that this month. And so we may not reap the full benefits of, what I mean, like getting really big things accomplished. These are new things, but there is that sense of, whoa, success, I did it. Whether that's just like I survived this month, or the eclipses, or I survived my time with family around Thanksgiving, who knows? But success is a really nice way to end this month. On the 30th, we have one arrow. I call these success arrows in my practice. When these arrows are filled in with numbers, there is a sense of completion, of a sense of direction. So it's like an arrow could be a desire you have or something you're trying to do. And so it's a direction that is open and available for you, right? And if the boxes along that path are filled in with numbers or energy or people, whatever those things may be that are helping you move through that energy to its head, which means it's complete, it's an arrow that has been fully realized. It's an arrow that is comprised of every component that it needs to amount success in whatever its intention is. And so it's almost like you could see it as a thought that you're sending out, and you're like, okay, how far can this go? And the arrows that have numbers filled in like this means that they're really strong arrows that are going to land you where you need to. So on the days where we have these, which is any day in November that has a 3 in it, so we see November 3rd, we have a success arrow, November 13th, November 23rd, and the 30th. So we have 4 days, we have 4 success arrows throughout the month. And while that's not a lot when we look at other years, we're going to take all the success arrows we can have this year because they're a little harder to find, again, with all the 2s dominating the chart, damn it. So keep that in mind. It's really lovely that we end with success. Maybe we do realize that we need a lot of family time, and that is one of the messages of the 2s on a greater lens, is like, staying connected to loved ones and people that hold emotional space for you, since it's a water sign. So family does get us where we need to be if we're taking this into consideration that this is only a week after Thanksgiving, and this is real prime time for the holidays, which really revolves around family affairs and that kind of stuff. But it's a great way to end the month, with success. And this is new. This is the first column of numbers 1, 2, 3. Really speaks to like a young you stepping forward and doing something that you haven't done before, finding the right people to do it, the right resources. And so again, it's not like this middle column, where it would be more about you finding success with managing 2 sides, or like kind of being a median, or finding a really good routine or ritual to kind of help you navigate your world. Or this last row, which would be about ultimate completion, which would be about doing something that you'll be remembered for, something that's really big in its scope. The 1, 2, 3 arrow is really about doing something on a more personal level, that is just kind of awakening new energy and opportunities for you. But that in itself is very exciting. And so, again, it's a great way to end the month. And I'm just going to wrap up this video with just a few more tips for you. So stick around. Okay, and the other thing I want to mention when I do my charting of the month is I average out how many missing arrows we have per day to kind of give us some idea. So in the month of November, we have an average of 2.56. So I guess you could round that up to 3 if you feel comfortable. I'm keeping it at like 2.6. So 2.6 is the average of missing arrows that we have every day, and that factors in the 4 success arrows to kind of diminish that. There's a total of 81 for the whole month, and there's only 30 days in November, and so that shows you we have a lot that's missing. Again, a huge theme this year. Those missing arrows really mean it's not like we're set up for failure this year, but we are set up to be in a place where we can closely ascertain a need for healing, a need for emotions and releasing emotions. And so when I see that, when I see an exaggeration of missing arrows, or especially a water number like 2, that means we're going to have emotions pervading our day-to-day life a lot more apparently. And emotions are usually associated to things that have not gone right. I mean, yes, we can experience emotions like joy or fulfillment, whatever that is, but usually the emotional piece in metaphysics speaks to pain, speaks to fear, speaks to missing out or not doing something right, and so most of us, when we're experiencing emotions, it's because we're either disempowered or we're not doing. When we're doing something, we're not in an emotional space, we're in a being space, a present space, a solar space. When we're in an emotional space, we're reflecting. Typically we're taking time to sit back or to look at things. And so to experience emotions usually means you're not actively making or creating or working. And so keep that in mind. That's a really big theme for this year. This year isn't as bad as some other months. Let's take a look when we see the average per day of missing. So in October, it was 2.83, so a little higher than. September was nice, one of the nicer months, 1.7. August was 3.09, so we had a lot missing in August. Was that a hard month for you? July, 1.7 a day. That was really nice. So they do fluctuate, from month to month. And remember, though, this is a master number month. And so this is about you either feeling this surge of energy to do things, realizing that you only have a little more time before the year is over, and maybe you still feel this sense of like, I can make something happen this year. I know it. Those eclipses have maybe reinstated that notion or given me some energy that I was lacking, whatever that may be. So let that carry you through. I know this is a lot to chew on, so feel free to rewatch this or really just take what resonates for you. If you are a life path 11, this is a time where you really see your life magnify each year, maybe where it feels like you step up to the plate a lot more readily, or you just feel a lot more fulfilled, which can be really nice. And if you're not on 11 life path, that's okay too. We all have different numbers. We all have different purposes, and we all get to experience our number at a certain time each year. And so thank you for tuning in. If you have stuck around, I'm very grateful for you. I know I'm a very fast talker and fast thinker. This is how my mind works. Welcome. But this is the magic of numerology. It's a lot more expansive than people realize it. And again, the conscious types, which I'm sure is you if you're watching this, we usually need more than one tool to understand things because the mind works in dual ways. And so it's not just about just having astrology or just numerology and having those things isolated, because the metaphysics and the spiritual path is about uniting and bringing a sense of union to everything in life. And so we can see that easily manifest with you not just wanting to learn about how to use a tarot deck, but you also wanting to work with crystals or with yoga or meditation, and kind of really stepping into that kind of sense of being where it feels like it's not just one thing, but it's many things, that give you that sense of variety and understanding. And ultimately, these are tools that help us navigate what's up ahead. A lot of conscious people, fear can be very prevalent for us because we're very aware of what's going on, and having that knowledge of like, oh, that's what that person really meant in that interaction or whatever. We need something to kind of help us move through that. And if you're somebody that has a lot of anxiety, working with a tool like astrology or numerology is great for that, because it doesn't solve what's up ahead. It doesn't dictate your life, but it gives you a pairing. It's almost like a friend that exists in an undefined space that's there for you when you need them, and just is there to guide you. It's a navigational tool. Ultimately, these things are, and I'm excited to share with you my expertise and my understanding. If you resonate with my teachings, feel free to book a chart reading with me to get to know your numbers if you've never had a numerology reading, or maybe you're more interested in astrology. And that is certainly something I offer. So I'll put my Calendly link in the information on this video, the information box. So keep an eye out for that. Subscribe for more videos. I'm certainly feeling like this was a really good thing for me to do. There's a lot of powerful messages that have come through, and so I'm going to do this every month for you guys. So stay tuned for the December numerology video, and feel free to look into any of the other content that I've created. I've had this channel for quite some time now. So thank you for tuning in. I wish you all the very best of November 2022. We are almost through with the year. That is a beautiful thing, but hey, there's some opportunity still. So it's not all over. 1111, make your wish, folks. Make your wish, all right? See you there.